Revive your garden with Neutrog biological fertilisers at good hardware and garden stores. Neutrog.com.au. This is 5AA Weekends.
It is Michael Keelan's weekend. 24 minutes to 8. Michael's away. He's in Antarctica. He's back midweek. You'll hear him on the show next week, but we're always delighted to have Milton Vidulis from Vidulis Garden Centre, Main North Road, Agawla, right across the racecourse, sitting in for Michael, taking your gardening questions. And, of course, one of the highlights of a Sunday, Milt, when you're here, is at about this time, at 24 minutes to 8, we get to speak to our next guest from Neutrog. Dr Uwe Stroeher joins us. Morning, Uwe.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
I'm very well.
Very good. It is my highlight.
Put the microphone on so we can actually hear you, Uwe. Happy days.
Yeah.
How's life in Neutrog land?
Good. Yeah. It's been pretty good, pretty busy.
Yeah, the weather's starting to get better, and it's starting to become, that fertiliser time, isn't
That's
it?
right.
And
yeah, exactly. So probably got a few more weeks till it really turns, but yeah. Not far away.
No, that's right. Look, potted plants are becoming really popular in gardens. Gardens are getting smaller, so there's more people growing, things in pots. We've had quite a few this morning, a lady with a gardenia and hibiscus and things like that. So what sort of advice would you give them about growing plants in pots?
Well, I guess, I'd probably give them a very similar advice to what people would do if they come into your garden centre. Think about where you're putting your plant. I mean, obviously, if you've got a courtyard and it's got three sides surrounded by concrete, you're not going to grow, an azalea. You're probably going to choose something hardy, like a citrus or cordyline or something like that. So, I think that's always the first decision when you do go for potted plants. I know you can move them, which is an advantage, but think about where they're going to be, not only in summer, but obviously also in winter. Are they going to be exposed to frost? Are they going to be exposed to wind? And then choose an appropriate plant. And the next thing I think people should consider is often when they get plants from a nursery, they can probably stay in that pot for a little while longer, but if they're in a more advanced state, you want to think about repotting them. So then you're going, what sort of pot should I put them in? So, if you've touched any of those black plastic pots that most plants come in, they get so hot. So, get them out of those pots, put them into a good ceramic pot or a heavy-duty plastic pot. So you get some protection. I like to use terracotta pots because they sweat, so they tend to be a little bit cooler. But again, if you're somebody that can't look after their plant consistently and give it water, then maybe stay away from terracotta because they do dry out much quicker than say a ceramic pot. And the other thing that has become very popular is these over pots or cover pots. And I think what a lot of people don't realise is they don't have any drainage holes. So people, they put their plants in there, they just sit them in there, and then they wonder why their plants die because they get waterlogged. So, if you're going to buy one of those cover pots, they're great because you can match them to the decor in your house. If you've got a blue theme, white theme, whatever, fantastic. But just be aware that the water will pool on the bottom. So if you are going to water your plants, just make sure that, unless you're growing swamp plants, they're
That's
not,
right. Always
really
take them out, leave them in their plastic pots, take them out to water them, and when they're finished watering, drained, pop them back in your cover pot.
Now, you need to get to Vidulis Garden Centre. They have a range of sloth.
Sloth cover pots, that's right. We've got a really big range of cover pots. Indoor plants at the moment are so hot that, people, it's as you said, they're matching their pot to their decor. It's not like the old days, I'll just get a pot. They're a fashion item now.
They are, yeah. And they look really great. We've got a few at home, we've got a China doll in an indoor plant and that sort of thing. So, a Monstrata like you've got in the studio here. So, and they look really nice. And you match them up and they fit with your furniture. It looks really nice. But, be aware they've got no holes in them and you can't really drill a hole into a ceramic pot.
No. And neither should they. Cover pots for a reason. They stop all the drips and stuff. So, But, yes, you certainly don't want to water it in there. And you're right. Choosing the right plant for the right location is extremely important. That's half the battle. If you get the right plant in the right spot and it's location, you're much better. You're going to have much better success.
That's right. Yep. And the other thing, I guess, is if you're going to repot them, get a good quality potting mix. It cannot be said to people often enough, stay away from those, $3 potting mixes. They just aren't they're within a few weeks they're leached out. They're not good quality material. They dry out. They become water repellent, and all of a sudden your plant suffers. You get these beautiful plants, from the garden centres. People look after them. They get a regular water, all the rest of it. And why would you put them in cheap soil if you spend $30 on a plant?
We get calls on that all the time. It drives Michael insane because people will spend all this money on a great plant, all this money on a great cover pot, and then they'll go, I'm going to save some money here. I'm going to get like a $1 bag of
That's right.
soil.
Do you
and
know
then
why?
it dies, and then they go, well, what's wrong, Michael? What have I done wrong?
Because they think it's dirt. Oh, it's dirt is dirt. It's not dirt at all. It's potting mix. It's a scientifically based product.
See how I said soil? I said dirt. Once you leant over
Yeah, I
and
know.
you whack across the panels.
I know, but that's what people think. Oh, it's just dirt, But it's not at all. It's a scientifically blended product.
That's
so,
right. Dirt's what's in your vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, that's right.
Do people sometimes not think about their plants indoors as much as they do their outdoors, particularly in your realm of, fertilisers and things, because they go, well, the ones in the house, they'll look after themselves, whereas I've really got to put time and effort into the ones outdoors?
I think people probably tend to forget about certain aspects of indoor plants. I think they do forget about fertilising them. So it's very common.
I think that's true.
That's probably true.
They overwater them and under-fertilise
That's
them.
right. Yeah. And to be honest, my wife is a prime example. I hate to dob her in here.
Throwing her under the bus.
But she's someone that likes to water quite a bit. And she goes, oh, this is ready for watering. And I stick my finger in there. No, it's still moist. Sure. So let go. Because you kill them more with water than anything else. I think more plants die from being waterlogged than anything else.
Yep.
Yeah, indoor plants. 96% of indoor plants are killed from overwatering.
Yeah, too much love.
Too much love.
We had one of the
that's
girls-
what I need in my life.
We had one of the girls here before she went on holidays. She thought, right, I'm away for 4 weeks. I better water because no one will. So she grabbed like a bucket, and each plant got this gigantic bucket of water. And Michael said they were literally like floating down the hallway. And it's like, that's a little bit too much water. So too much love is not a good
Too
thing.
much love. No, not for indoor plants. It's different for outdoor plants because they dry out much quicker. Inside, you've got a different environment. And they don't dry out so much. It's not as hot, it's not as dry. But the outdoor plants, certainly at this time of the year, you want to be watering them pretty much every day. But indoor plants should only need to water once a week. So that's about the difference. So once every 7 days to once a day, inside and out. So that's the difference. Well, what about feeding them? Because that's really important.
That's right. So a lot of people now with indoor plants and even potted plants, they like to use liquids. So we're finding liquids are quite popular for that. And liquids have advantages. You can fertilise while you're watering. That's a great thing. Kill two birds with one stone. Liquids, especially if you've got indoor plants, liquids have virtually no smell, whereas pellets do smell a little bit, for a few days. So that's a great thing. They give a gentle feed. Liquids generally are formulated so that you don't get a massive boost, which means you do have to use them more often. And it's simply because with liquids, we can't dissolve that much material in a liquid. You think about a cup of sugar, you can't take a cup of sugar and dissolve that in 1 cup of water. Simply there comes a point where we can't dissolve anymore. So liquids tend to be a little bit more gentle in that respect, at least the ones that we make. So if you dilute them down and use them, they're really great. You can, of course, still use pellets outside, and pellets are great, especially if your potting mix is getting a bit long in the tooth. At least you're returning a bit of organic matter to those pots. I mean, eventually you do have to repot. That goes without saying. So we got a massive range of liquids. We got your stroke back for orchids, your sudden impact for roses, your sea mungus. So we got a lot of different liquids that you can use. And then obviously we got all of our pelleted range as well. So,
And how often would you recommend using a liquid compared to a pelletised fertiliser?
So a liquid probably once every 4 weeks, whereas a pelleted fertiliser once every 3 months or so. So normally we say for pellets just go, spring, summer, or say spring, autumn, go with something with a little bit more oomph to it. And then in summer, go with something like sea mungus, a bit more gentle feeding. And the advantage of that is that you're not, sort of getting massive amounts of leaf being put on when it's really hot. Because, plants can only support so much, and it all depends on the root system.
Yep. Good advice.
Nice.
Very good.
You brought in the sudden impact for roses and the sea mungus for us to give away. Thank you
right.
for that. The people, you can use that on things other than roses?
Oh, for sure,
Some
yeah.
people get to be, oh,
No. I always say to people, if you're a rose lover, then it's certainly worth your effort to get a specialist rose food. But let's say you've got 20 roses and 2 azaleas, then just use the rose food on your azaleas.
Okay.
If you've got 20 azaleas and 1 rose, then do it the other way around. But yeah, they're pretty universal. We do make slight distinctions. So, you know, for acid-loving plants, we drop down things like phosphate, because phosphate can actually be poisonous to acid-loving plants. So they show a phosphate sensitivity if you put them into alkaline soil. So we drop that back in our acid-loving ones. But, you know, then there are certain requirements we try to meet. But, you know, as much as I'd love to say, you know, buy 20 different types of fertilisers, you don't really need to.
No. Okay. So you can use that on your potted plants and away you go.
Absolutely, you can. Yes,
Happy
definitely.
days. Excellent. Uwe, thank you for coming in as always. If people want to find out more, they can contact you?
Yeah, info@neutrog.com.au, or, you know, they can just phone into Neutrog, or, you know, get on the line and join the Poo Bar Club and that sort of thing. So there's plenty of opportunity to get in contact with us.
There you go.
Are you in that?
I'm not. I should
yeah.
be, shouldn't I?
You should be.
Well, I'm very spoiled. I get to see him every week.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
you know, I get a private one-on-one tutorial. I'm learning it. And finally, you ever drunk kombucha?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, I'm surprised.
No. I mean, I love my beer, you know, being German.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
what kind of beer do you...
Oh, I love wheat beers,
Okay,
you know.
I love them all. I don't mind them.
there you go.
But wheat beers give me a headache, so, but I still love them.
All of these...
They all give me a headache.
all of a sudden, there's a busload going now from the show to the Boab Fest. Brad and Milton. Now, Dr. Uwe, thank you so much for coming in again. Neutrog.com.au, Dr. Uwe Stroeher, our guest, of course, and we've got to give away later in the show the Southern Impact for roses and the Sea Mungus as well. And if you want to pick up any great Neutrog product, you can do it, Milton, at all good hardware and garden stores.
You can, absolutely.